Lost technologies that could have changed the world. Whether you believe in the theory of extraterrestrial civilizations on Earth is a personal choice. Many of us might see it as just media hype around a once popular topic, but in this video you'll learn about the scientific achievements of one brilliant and amazing scientist for whom this question was entirely different. He not only didn't doubt it, but he seemingly possessed undeniable proof. Was he a genius ahead of his time, or a madman whose dreams were too dangerous for the world? You decide. But the immense scientific contribution that this scientist made to our civilization is undeniable. Where others saw only fantasies, he saw the near future, and most importantly, he knew how to achieve it. How it all began. Nikola Tesla was born on July 10, 1856, in the village of Smiljan, then Austria-Hungary, now Croatia. His father was a priest, and his mother was a housewife and a talented, self-taught inventor. Without any formal technical education, she built mechanical devices for household chores that were ahead of their time. From childhood, Nikola had a phenomenal memory that amazed his parents. He spoke 8 languages, and complex mechanisms came to life in his mind, which he would later transfer to paper and into reality. His father envisioned him as a priest, but Nikola dreamed of something else. This is what he himself wrote about his youth. From childhood, I was destined to be a priest. This prospect, like a dark cloud, hung over me. Upon receiving my graduation certificate, I faced a critical decision. Should I disobey my father, ignore my mother's loving wishes, or submit to fate? I was burdened by this thought, gazing fearfully towards the future. I had deep respect for my parents, so I decided to pursue theological studies. It was then that a terrible cholera epidemic broke out, which wiped out 1/10 of the population. Despite my father's unyielding orders, I rushed home, and the illness struck me down as well. The cholera later led to dropsy, lung problems, and other ailments. I spent 9 months in bed, barely moving. My life force seemed depleted, and the doctors had already given up on me. It was a painful experience, not so much physically, but because I wanted to live and win. During one of the attacks, when everyone thought I was dying, my father came into the room to support me with these words, "You will get better." I can still see his deathly pale face as he tried to encourage me with a tone that contradicted his assurances. "Perhaps," I replied, "I might get better, but only if you allow me to study engineering." "All right, you will attend the best educational institution in Europe," he replied solemnly, and I knew he would do it. A heavy burden was lifted from my soul. Nikola Tesla entered the Polytechnic School in Graz in 1875 and became fascinated with electrical engineering. During one of his lectures, he noted that electrical devices operating on direct current were very unreliable and inefficient. Tesla proposed using alternating current for household needs. His professor, Jakob Peuschel, laughed at the idea and subjected it to harsh criticism. However, the criticism didn't stop Tesla. He was confident in his beliefs and began actively working on creating an AC system that could transmit energy over long distances. Today, we can thank him for it. Thanks to Tesla's patents and inventions, especially his polyphase system and induction motor, alternating current became the foundation of modern electrical power. Almost all of our household appliances and electrical grids work on this system. While studying, Tesla became addicted to gambling and lost large sums. Gambling, both in science and life, was always in his blood, though he later recalled that the desire to try his luck at the card table was not a desire for entertainment, but an attempt to forget about the initial failures in achieving my goal. The War of Currents and the Path to Recognition. In 1882, Tesla began working as an electrical engineer for a state-owned company in Budapest, but he felt bored and constrained by the atmosphere of regulations and schedules. His innovative spirit demanded a broader field of activity. He wanted to pursue science. In 1884, he moved to the United States and got a job at the company of the famous Thomas Edison. Edison was a talented American engineer, inventor, and entrepreneur. He had created the phonograph, the prototype of the vinyl record player, and was already famous, wealthy, and respected by society. He had also improved the telegraph, telephone, and motion picture equipment. Edison, being a proponent of direct current, was cool toward Tesla's ideas about the prospects of alternating current and even mocked his work. One day, he promised Tesla $50,000 if he could constructively improve the DC electrical machines his company produced. Nikola accepted the offer and promptly improved 24 mass-produced machines. After approving all the improvements, when asked about the reward, Edison refused Tesla, claiming that, as an immigrant, he didn't yet understand American humor. An insulted Tesla resigned, and in 1886 he founded his own company, becoming Edison's direct competitor. His departure marked the beginning of a fierce competitive struggle known as the War of Currents. In July 1888, the well-known American industrialist George Westinghouse bought over 40 patents from Tesla, paying an average of $25,000 for each. Westinghouse also extended an invitation to the inventor to consult at his Pittsburgh factories, where they were developing industrial prototypes of alternating current machines. The work didn't satisfy Tesla as it interfered with his scientific research. Despite Westinghouse's persuasion, a year later, Tesla turned down the high fees and returned to New York to continue his scientific pursuits. At this time, financial assistance came from the Niagara Falls Company. Thanks to Edward Adams, Tesla received $100,000 to set up a new laboratory. At the end of 1896, Tesla transmitted the first radio signal over a distance of 30 miles. This was a stunning achievement for its time. Tesla completed the development of the induction motor around the same time, making it suitable for virtually all forms of transportation. Could you share your thoughts on why this simple-to-produce and exceptionally reliable 19th century motor didn't gain popularity and dominate globally at that time? The answer is oil, petrodollars, and Detroit's car manufacturers. In 1898, Tesla demonstrated a radio-controlled boat, decades before this technology was used for military purposes in the U.S. Given the foregoing, should we regard Tesla as a lunatic or a visionary? Think about this simple question. Secret experiments and great ambitions. In 1899, Tesla moved to Colorado Springs, where he built his laboratory hangar for experiments. He conducted research at night, not so much for cheap electricity, but to minimize interference with the city grid, which his powerful installations overloaded. During this time, he created his famous magnifying transmitter, a giant Tesla coil. With its help, he realized his dream of wireless energy transmission over long distances. This invention could have fundamentally changed the world, making humanity independent of wires, power plants, and internal combustion engines. But what happened to it? That's a wonderful question. Based on this story, a logical question arises about the fate of the blueprints and prototypes. Could you please let us know where they are and why they aren't being utilized for the benefit of humanity? Now we get to the most intriguing part. Tesla never kept his discoveries a secret. He openly patented them and shared the results of his experiments with the scientific community. So what's the deal? A conspiracy? Is it a criminal case? The banal problem was the lack of funding to put the prototypes into production. The FBI hasn't fully classified many of Nikola Tesla's inventions. The public has access to his patents, which provide detailed technical solutions. For example, the patents for his polyphase motors and his Tesla coil are available for study. However, when it comes to his later and more ambitious projects, such as the magnifying transmitter in Colorado Springs or the Wardenclyffe Tower, the situation becomes more complex. Tesla had work diaries, notes, and blueprints, but after his death in 1943, many of them were confiscated or simply disappeared. His main sponsor, J.P. Morgan, refused to support the project because he didn't see a way to profit from free energy. But we need to talk about this in more detail. Blueprints and patents. After successful experiments with his magnifying transmitter in Colorado Springs, Tesla returned to New York to build the Wardenclyffe Tower. He dreamed of the first wireless telecommunications station that could transmit not only messages but also energy around the world. For such an ambitious project, Tesla needed funding, and he turned to the main financial magnate of the time, J.P. Morgan. Who was J.P. Morgan? The answer is that J.P. Morgan was one of the largest American entrepreneurs of the early 20th century, a banker and financier, and the founder of the Morgan dynasty and J.P. Morgan Chase Bank. He controlled the construction of railroads across America, participated in creating the largest steel company, U.S. Steel, and the electrical firm, General Electric, and financed transatlantic passenger shipping. An intriguing fact: during the financial panic of 1893, when the U.S. government lacked gold to back its obligations, this magnate personally gathered a syndicate of the largest private investors and bankers and provided the government with $65 million in gold. This helped prevent the country's financial collapse, from which Morgan, of course, profited handsomely. Morgan was also one of the investors in the White Star Line, which owned Titanic. By the way, he was supposed to sail on the ship on its maiden voyage, but at the last minute, he canceled the trip due to health reasons. So, although the initial signal transmission tests were successful, Morgan refused to provide further funding for the project, into which he had already invested $150,000, or approximately $5 million in today's equivalent. Morgan refused to finance a project that, in essence, offered the world a future without wires. The irony is that just 70 years later, thanks to the development of wireless technology, Martin Cooper was able to make the first call from a mobile phone, which was only a small part of the wireless revolution Tesla had dreamed of. What might have led Morgan, a highly influential figure of his era, to decline supporting Tesla? It becomes clear if you look closely at his business interests. J.P. Morgan founded a banking dynasty and controlled railroads, the U.S. Steel Company, and, most importantly, General Electric, the leading electrical company. The main reason for the refusal was that Morgan couldn't identify a way to make a profit from Tesla's wireless energy transmission. As a banker and investor, he was interested in selling electricity, but Tesla's system essentially offered it for free. His goal was to make money from the electricity his company, General Electric, produced, not to create a competitor. This story shows how Tesla's genius clashed with the pragmatic world of big business. Tesla's inventions were decades ahead of their time, but they were too revolutionary for those who wanted to maintain control over the market. We could develop a theory of a secret conspiracy by a global government, or say that aliens stole all the materials for free energy transmission over any distance, but there's no point. The primary reason Tesla posed a threat to Morgan was that his inventions had the potential to disrupt Morgan's company and remove it from the ranks of market monopolists. By the way, do you use General Electric home appliances? Tesla's death and document confiscation. Nikola Tesla passed away at the New Yorker Hotel on the night of January 7th to 8th, 1943. According to some reports, Eleanor Roosevelt visited him a few days before his death, and they had a long conversation about something. What did Tesla tell the president's wife? And why did the FBI immediately confiscate all his papers and diaries from his room, where he had lived for a long time, right after his death? The Office of Alien Property Custodian ordered this action. The main reason was the fear that his advanced scientific developments, especially in the field of beam weapons, could fall into the hands of the enemies of the United States during World War II. After the war, only a small portion of the confiscated documents was handed over to his family and eventually transported to the Nikola Tesla Museum in Belgrade, where they are stored today. What happened to the rest of the documents is unknown. The writer Tim Swartz mentions that Tesla also had personal belongings in other hotels where he rented rooms. Some of them were lost, and over 12 boxes of personal belongings and diaries were sold to pay hotel bills and creditors. Swartz also asserts that a certain Michael P. Borns, a bookseller from Manhattan, auctioned off 4 unremarkable boxes of papers in 1976. They were bought by someone named Dale Alfrey for only $25, without him knowing what the papers were. It was later revealed that among the documents were laboratory journals, blueprints, and personal letters from Nikola Tesla, in which he mentioned hostile aliens capable of controlling the human brain. Whether to consider Tesla a madman or a genius is up to you. For him, the question of the presence of extraterrestrial civilizations on Earth seemed real, and it's possible he knew the answer. After the scientist's death, many conspiracy theories arose around his name. There are speculations that the Tunguska meteorite was actually the result of an unsuccessful experiment by Tesla on long-distance energy transmission. In 1958, the American agency DARPA unsuccessfully tried to recreate his death rays as part of the Seesaw project. Its main goal was to create a gun transmitter that would shoot powerful energy pulses capable of disabling enemy equipment or hitting targets at long distances. The idea was based on Nikola Tesla's concepts of wireless energy transmission. Although Tesla never sought to create a fully functional beam weapon, his research on high-frequency currents and wireless energy transmission inspired many. In 1976, a bookseller in the U.S. auctioned off laboratory journals allegedly belonging to Tesla. According to the seller, they contained detailed descriptions of aliens who visited our planet. There is also information about an electric car that Tesla allegedly demonstrated in 1931, which ran without traditional energy sources, meaning even without a battery. Elon Musk, what do you think of that? What we could have had and what we lost. If Tesla's ideas had been fully realized, the world could have had free electricity for everyone, global wireless communication in the early 20th century, and technologies that would have made oil and coal unnecessary. Instead, we lost decades of development, and energy remained in the hands of corporations and magnates like Morgan. Tesla's name is now largely forgotten by many, and his Wardenclyffe Tower is just a memory of what our world could have been.